Hello, everyone, and welcome to one of the last weeks of Split 3 here for the LFA semifinals action here. It is going to be Final Boss versus Flannel Esports. My name is Soren. Joining me, as always, is ADHD. ADHD, how are we feeling going into this banger of a matchup?
Yeah, this is an exciting one for us to watch, but I imagine not as exciting as it is for Boat Chicken. Getting to watch his old org, really cheering them on from the sidelines. Gonna have a good time, I think. But in all seriousness, I think this is a great one for us to watch tonight because we've watched a lot of Flannel this split, and we have a pretty good idea of what these guys are capable of. Final Boss, we've seen less of. I don't actually think we've seen them with their new roster. But they
We've
are
not.
obviously a strong team. They were either first or second, I don't know which, but they got the bye, so believe they were second. And XSV was first, so it's a big one tonight. Both these teams looking to make the finals. I believe Flannel lost at this point last year, or did they make it to the finals? I don't recall. But either way,
Uh,
this is
they,
a big milestone for
they,
them.
yeah, they lost 3-1.
Yeah, they lost 31 last year, so it would be nice of them to pick this up and get that finals appearance. Constant on the up for them, so this is their chance.
And actually, I have a little bit of a correction here for you because I went back. I thought we haven't seen Final Boss in a while either. But fun fact, we saw them in week 9
Oh yeah, we did the Kindred
versus
game. Yeah, yeah, you're
versus
right.
Flannel, in
Yeah,
which Final Boss actually beat Flannel 2-0. So that is definitely going to be an interesting factor going into this game. Obviously, very different scenario because this is obviously a best of 5 rather than a best of 3. So the fearless, the drafting is going to be very different. As well as, just getting those 2 wins is not going to be enough. They need to close out 3. So I'm intrigued to see if today we get to see Flannel maybe bring one back and get a little bit of revenge because this is a good team. I think we checked. I think Flannel is the most watched stream team so far this split. I think this is like the 5th or 6th time that we've watched them. And they have a very good record, at least on stream. I think they've won a vast majority of the games we've seen them play.
yeah. I think we saw them lose twice, maybe, but that's a lot less than we've seen them win. I will say I'm remembering that game now, and I remember the Jarvan game with the new lethality build, the Profane Hydra that Flannel has banned away this time, which is pretty funny. I know that Engroves plays that champion sometimes. I would have rather them actually left it up because nobody's be wanting Jarvan, right? So I would have rather seen Flannel leave that up and then just pick it on 2-3 after they see something uh, B1 that's hopefully immobile or something of that nature. I think that would have been a better idea, but nonetheless, they're going to get rid of it, so they're not going to have to worry about it. And Grotus obviously wants rid of the Xin Zhao, these AD bruisers as well, because they're really good against the AP farmers that he tends to
Okay.
favor. Apparently, though, it is a Kindred pick R1 that we cannot see on screen. Going to be followed up by the Rise Hover for now.
Okay. I mean, I think you even mentioned it. Final Boss, we saw them pull out the Kindred to great effect in week number 9. So Flannel are going to pick that one off. And of course, it being fearless means that that is not going to be available to Final Boss in the end. So I think that's a pretty good pickup. It is an interesting start for a composition. Usually we see Kindred more round out a composition, not be built around, but maybe Flannel have something in their back pocket. I do like that Morgana B1. Morgana has definitely been skyrocketing up the prio recently. She's been really, really strong. Looks like Draft Law might be having a little bit of a stroke. Seeing B2 Orn. Okay, so that's gonna be tough. Okay, Orn picked up in B2, not usually seen. At least not this low into the picks. It's not very often we get a top lane pick in the first round of picks, and very less often that we see it be Orn. That's actually kind of wild.
Yeah, we got our Champions League back. It's fixed a little bit. Obviously, just missing the Kindred now, but we're happy we can at least see the Order. I think we can remember the Kindred. Um,
Yeah.
but a little bit of story time. Do you guys remember when Fearless came out and there were a bunch of people saying like it would be like a legit strategy to just pick a bunch of the enemy team's champions, even if they didn't make sense game one, just to like essentially ban 5 of their champions for the rest of the series. I'm not unconvinced that that's what Flannel's doing. That the Kindred Jarvan feels personal. The Vigar is one of Rep's signature champs, and I don't know about Ashe with their new ADC, but that was what Boat was playing, so they're familiar with playing with that champ too. So it looks to me like Flannel is using their champion select to target ban final boss in game one, which I think is pretty funny. And provided they can play these champs, I don't think it's too bad. I think I like the Ashe in response to Caitlyn. That's one of the only champs that's
Yeah.
considered not awful in lane into Caitlyn. Um, I am worried about Flannel's lack of prio though. Normally the Ashe would be your prio, but against Caitlyn, I don't really think that's going to be the case. I kind of want to see them pick. See, normally I would say I want them to have an enchanter because I want them to be able to contest the Caitlyn Morgana, but also they kind of need engage the Vigar Cage plus Ash Arrow. Okay, the Renekton is fine. They already see the Ornn, but I think Renekton is not good into Ornn. It is good for the comp, however, so bit of an odd choice.
Yeah. I'm also intrigued because Morgana technically is a flex. We typically see her. You know, I mean, traditionally she is a support, but we have been seeing her played a lot in mid. So this is technically a flex. So I'm intrigued to see if this Morgana is actually going to go support or if they're going to be going mid. Yeah, I don't know. I'm also a little worried. Obviously, Renekton is is a bruiser, and has a little bit of health and tankiness behind him, but it's not an outright tank. Um, and Kindred is a marksman, so and does have the Lamb's Respite, which will offer her some protection, but that only lasts so long. I think Flannel need a little bit of tankiness behind them, especially if they're going to be dealing with Morgana and Caitlyn. That is a very dangerous duo that does a lot of damage. We do see Karma get locked in. I'd imagine Karma is going to be the support here. I think Karma can go mid, but I think Morgana is a much better fit, and a Karma and Caitlyn bot lane is not bad in the slightest.
Yeah, I hope that Flannel actually does pick the Seraphine. I think that's a really good pick here. I think Final Boss is really low on damage, so I think that some kind of like enchanter to kind of heal up past the relatively slow damage profile
Yeah.
of Final Boss is pretty good. I think it also gives them some more engage. And obviously, Seraphine pairs really well with Ashe, so neither of these comps are particularly offensive to me. I think both of these are fine comps. The only thing I don't really like is Renekton into Ornn, but hey, you know, you need some kind of AD damage. Looks good to me. Not the end of the world. Final boss is picked Bronzodia. This is like very easy to play. Pilot. I'm always a fan of those comps for the most
Oh yeah.
parts. I do think that they have insane prio pretty much across the board. So as a jungler, I would much prefer to play Final Boss's comp. I think it's way easier to pilot. That being said, Flannel does have some explosive options that I think should give them the tools they need to play this game. I'm hoping it's not quite as bad as it was last time these two teams met up. It was kind of stompy, I felt like. But hopefully Flannel will be able to pilot this a little better than last time.
I remember game two was more of a stomp. Final boss did kind of just roll them, but if I remember correctly, wasn't that first game the one where it just felt like it was never going to end? It was going back and forth and back and
Yeah,
forth.
Flannel
So
was like
like,
10k down, and Final Boss
yeah,
couldn't figure out how to end it. That was that game, but they did end up winning in the end. Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, not a great look.
No, and I do agree. I mean, this is for this final boss lineup is also one that you would see a very high level of play, and there's a reason for that because it is so simple and because it is so straightforward. It's very difficult to make mistakes, which means you rely a lot more on macro. It relies on just the team making good calls, and the composition does the work for you. So I do like it. It makes it very simple. So draft teams can work really well around it. They can just kind of get on the rift, do what they need to do. So I do like that a lot. But Flannel, kind of like what you alluded to, if one of these players just starts going nuclear, I don't know if Final Boss will be able to bring up a threat that can deal with that unless the game goes super, super late and this Caitlyn just outscales pretty much everyone. But then at the same time, if it ends up being that Vigar who knows? Because Vigar, especially with the outplay button, if you let Vigar get ahead, any of those hyper carries on final boss, they're very squishy. They could just be absolutely deleted like that. So I don't know. I think if this game goes long, I think Flannel definitely takes the lead the longer it goes, but final boss should definitely have priority the early game.
Yeah, I'm not a Vigar expert, but this seems like a game that's very hard for Vigar to play. I feel like Vigar doesn't really like long range threats, and he especially doesn't like long range
Yeah.
engage. And Final Boss has tons of long range engage, so I feel like this is a bit of a tough one to play for Vigar. Somebody can correct me if that's not true, but that seems to be the case for me. I am getting word from Giggle that there is going to be a slight delay. Don't know how long that's going to be, but hopefully not too long. Oh, we somebody knocked their computer off their desk. It's that'll bring up story time then, I guess. Do you guys remember Spill Scarin on C9? He almost got fined because he spilled his drink on stage like 3 different times on his keyboard. They're like, bro, if you do this
Oh,
again, like
jeez.
we're actually gonna fine you. It was crazy. But yeah, that's about all I got for stalling. What do you think, Soren?
I don't know. I mean, I can kind of go back. We've obviously put a little bit of thought into both the compositions. I know I used to do it a lot in the past where I would ask for predictions, and some casters hate giving predictions because you could be like me and just curse literally anyone you talk about, but I still find it entertaining. Um, I don't know. I have a feeling Flannel might take the win here today. I really like Flannel. They've looked really good. The only teams that we've seen them lose to were XSV, the number one seed, who are looking really, really dominant, and Final Boss, who are the current reigning champions, who are still looking really good and are the second seed. If Flannel, and they also didn't have a week off, so they're going to be a little bit more. I know it's not like a back-to-back day competition, but I think they're going to be in the headspace a little bit more. I don't know. Flannel's also just a vibe team for me. I don't know. Flannel feels like they could be a terrible team, but sometimes they just win because they're Flannel, and I'm getting the vibes today that Flannel could just win because it's Flannel. So I don't know. I like Flannel. I like this composition, though I find weaknesses in it. I don't know if they win this game, but I still feel like I'm leaning towards them for the series.
Since I got time, since I've got time, I'm going to give you vibes. I'm going to give you my experience, right? I think that having played against Rept a fair bit, I think that he's a good player, but he is extremely gankable. He's one of those guys that often dies to ganks. Every time I would play against this guy, I'd sit in the like Raptor pit behind mid lane and just gank him on repeat, and it would work every time. So I think that Rep does struggle against some of those junglers that are less concerned about farming and just kind of want to perma gank. I I'm telling you all this because Angrotus is not that guy. Angrotus is going to farm. He's gonna play the farm game. He's not going to do that, which I think Rep is going to be thrilled about. So I think it looks really good for him. I think this should be a series for him to potentially carry from. Also, uh, obviously Jake is the reigning MVP jungler, one last split. He's really good. He's very good. I'll talk positively about a lot of people that I play against, but there were only a couple players that I truly felt were much better than me, and he was one of them. So I think that Jake is really good. I would not want to be playing against that. That being said, Flannel's got the spreadsheets. They've got the org identity. I think that Quintic does a really good job of preparing these teams, and I think this first draft is not too bad. So I do think that they have opportunities to play and win. Obviously, I'm not too familiar with the bot side of the map either, so at least from personal experience, so it could definitely go either way in that department.
As we see here, teams are finally into the actual game draft, so we'll be hopping over here relatively soon. But just kind of storylines as well. I think this is actually a very important game. Obviously, it is the semifinals, which is important in its own right. But if we see Flannel win this, not only do we get to see Flannel actually get to the finals, which we have not seen them do yet. They got, I think, second seed and then got bounced by High Alert, which is now XSV, obviously. So there's the potential matchup there, a kind of rematch. Obviously, not the same rosters, but the vibes are still there. Meanwhile, Final Boss, if they end up winning this, they could be in the race to be the first ever two-time LFA champion, or at least this time around, which we haven't really seen. I mean, last split, ID kind of crashed out, and I don't think they got past the first round of playoffs. So they never even got to the point to compete for a second back-to-back, but that is a very good possibility for Final Boss. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be an insane matchup. I, I don't know if we're going 5, but I would not be surprised if we go 5 here.
Yeah, I definitely think it's possible. Shout out to the ID bombing out last split. Thanks for the reminder. Appreciate it as always.
I I kind of forgot you were on that
Yeah,
roster. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. I was only there. I pulled a rept. I got onto a team right before playoffs and got carried in after struggling all season. So no hate. Did it myself. Uh, but that being said, uh, this is going to be a good one. I'm excited to see it.
Absolutely. We just got word that we can send it over to a brief intermission. Of course, don't go anywhere. We're going to let Spectator Delay do its thing, and we'll be back into the action with game number 1 in just a couple of minutes. And we are underway here. Game number one between Final Boss and Flannel Esports. Semifinals action here in the LFA split number 3. This is a matchup we saw just a couple weeks ago. Final Boss took that encounter 2-0 in fashion. So we're intrigued to see how everything is going to shake out here. And it looked like they were about to go for maybe a little bit more standard 5-point, but actually the entirety of Final Boss is taking a run down the bot side. They don't have a hook, but I guess they have the Q for Morgana that they can play around. But it doesn't look like they're really going to find anything.
Yeah, this is good to look for because a lot of times teams, when they 5-point, they will send like one person down here to put a ward in that middle bush where Walt is right now, because getting that ward, as they've decided to place, getting that ward is highly beneficial for bot lane early. Helps you trade really aggressively at level 1 and get that initial push, so sometimes teams will look for that. So it's kind of a freebie if you can get it. That being said, Flannel is not gonna push for vision anywhere else and really check. Vigar is somehow able to push Morgana away and he's able to get that ward onto Raptors, which is nice. Gonna have some idea where Jake is starting, although it is a little awkward on that side because I think if Sejuani were starting bot and did her red and her Krug, she probably would be able to get to the Raptors without being spotted. It would be expired by that point, I think.
Yeah, it looks like for a second there, Lonza actually was going to try to proxy the wave, but is going to be pushed back, almost put into an awkward position there, seeing as Jake is right around the corner. And while here on bot lane, a lot of pressure already put onto the Ashe. I don't know which side is supposed to have the advantage here, but it looks like early on it is going to be this Caitlyn Karma matchup that are going to have control, at least for this level 1 engage.
Yeah, I think it's just a level 1 trade. Ashe probably does beat Caitlyn. The Karma obviously is pretty strong, but level 2 advantage is definitely going to be the difference maker, though. They're not able to get these minions, which means that Seraphine is going to eat a ton of damage here. The trap is going to connect, and she's not going to be forced to flash. Both ADCs just trading into the supports. Ashe is in the wave, though, so she's not going to win this long term, even though she's a level down. Wait, this is crazy that's this close, though. Oh my god, they just straight up win down a level. That is... Okay, well that verifies my earlier thought that Ashe should win that. In case anyone was wondering, we now have a definitive answer.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe down to a little bit of a misplay from Walt. Walt definitely hesitated a little bit, deciding whether or not they should go in for a bit more of a dive to try to secure the kill on the Sunset, or if they should turn back to help out Powder with the Ashe. And that moment of hesitation is a difference maker. I mean, if Walt just turns back a little bit sooner, they're able to get at least one more auto win, and I don't think they die there. It becomes a 1-for-1, but in the end, that's a 2-for-1. Flannel are one step away from getting the feat of warfare, and 2 kills go onto this Ashe super early.
Yeah, that is nice. Sejuani is here. I don't think that there's going to be anything happening here because Kindred is also here. I will say that once again, Angronis is clearing a camp at 3:35, and it's not that, like, what on earth is he doing? I'm so confused. There's no flash in the Ashe. Oh, there is a flash in the Ashe, so she is just out for free. How? Okay, if you're Jake in this position, how pissed are you when your bot lane gets 2v2 killed, and then the enemy ADC still has flash when you come to gank? I just assumed it was gone because that seems too unrealistic, but that is nuts. I feel for him right now, but gotta communicate a little bit. Kindred's gonna get this crab too, so this is a nice start for Flannel.
Yeah, this is very good. Obviously 400 gold in the pocket in advantage. Jake's gonna make presence known, but not gonna really go for anything. Just continue to push back this pairing of the Ashe as well as the Seraphine. And it's gonna go for a recall. It's gonna be interrupted.
Kindred's taking the top side too. This is an uncharacteristic mistake from Jake. His top side is up, and he's the business bot side. Not a good look. I think Jake trying to salvage his bot a little bit is not gonna look good. He's just gonna put himself a little bit behind as well. Ornn is here to mess with the Kindred. Surely Jake is calling that this is being stolen. He is gonna find out that it is. I don't know if Kindred got that mark because it's still showing on the minimap. I wonder if it spawned maybe after he killed it. I don't know exactly how Kindred marks work. But if he did manage to get it, that is nice. Nice addition onto the almost 1k gold lead already, which is really free for the side of Flannel. Powder's Dead is here. Vigar has no mana to really retaliate. The flash is going to be forced out by the Karma W. But I think Vigar is going to be okay unless there's some kind of repeat gank.
Okay, Kindred already has 2 marks at just over 5 minutes. That's actually really, really good for them. Meanwhile, Flannel are just kind of in a commanding position across the board. Like you said, about a 1k gold lead. It's a little bit short now, but we are seeing Kindred go through and I guess kind of just start their next clear. Drake is up, and it is going to be secured here by Final Boss, as Kindred is nowhere near in a position to have a say for this, but it looks like it's more just a handover rather than a forfeit, as, yep, it is just going to be taken. 4 members are going into the Drake pit, which I don't know if I agree with, especially as I guess they don't know where the Kindred is, but that's still a lot of investment in pulling people away from their lanes that really didn't need to be there for that take.
Yeah, this is a fine trade though, because this is probably going to result in 3 grubs for Flannel, because Kindred is on her Gromp right now, which is indicating to me that she's going to reset and cycle back around. But instead, she's going to look for this crab instead of doing her wolves and just cycling up towards the top side, which I guess is going to work. Gets the RNG crab, which is nice. That puts her at 3. 1 more gets her the critical 4, which is the range increase, which is really nice. She's going to be able to go back to her wolves or skip them. Ooh, I don't like this. That's a little weird. But with the prio top, I think that they should still be in that position to get the grubs.
Yeah, and we do see Lanza here is going to be caught out here. King of Spades is going to do quite a bit of damage. Meanwhile, Jake is in the area, going to make themselves known, and it's going to go in. Lanza might just be dead here, but Grodus going to try to have a say.
Yeah, this is looking pretty risky. Oh, the heal from the Renekton is a ton, and they're going to turn this around. The Kindred ult is going to buy a little bit of time, but it's just delaying the inevitable. The Renekton able to really outplay that. Lanza played super well. Rept is not going to be able to do anything except be a little bit annoying here. And that is a 4-1 lead for Flannel already, defying my expectations in Game 1.
I mean, I said it. Flannel definitely have a bit of a weirder composition, and not as straightforward as this Final Boss team. But if there's just a couple of members on Flannel where if they get ahead on the champions they're operating, they could just kind of steamroll. And now the Ashe and the Kindred are both sitting 2-0 up. Lanza, in a very awkward position, is just going to have to die there. I mean, both bot laners are on the prowl looking for them, and there's nowhere for them to go, and just not enough distance between them and that Caitlyn. We do see that lane swap come through as Ornn is now setting on the bot side, but Chaotic seems wholly uninterested as they continue to just farm up their lane.
Yeah, that was actually a really good lane swap from Final Boss. This is going to secure them the grubs. Kindred might be able to snipe 1 because they're kind of doing it lazy. Kindred can actually smite over this wall if she comes over. We'll see what the Sedge does, though. But keeping the Ashe bot, who is really their strong member, is very advantageous for the side of Final Boss. Flannel can't really fight this despite the gold advantage, and Final Boss is getting these objectives despite losing out on the gold. So a good move from them to keep them in the position to win this game.
Yeah, we've seen it before. Kills mean one thing, but without the major jungle objectives to give them the boosts later in the game. Oh, and Lanza might just be a dead man walking. Never mind, Baby Cage. It's going to be massive. Never mind. Lanza's gone. Just such a good combination of TT means that even though they get away, they're not able to survive.
Wow, that's crazy. The Ashe Arrow actually cancels the Caitlyn ult. That's really funny. I don't know if that was intentional, but if it was very cool. Oh, wait. That resets the Caitlyn ult? I don't think I knew that. That's crazy. That's super lucky, though. I'm going to say that Seraphine also did not know that having that interrupted would reset the cooldown. Because they did not position at all like they knew that. Which is really funny, but... Big mistake from Renekton there after the outplay top. He just goes for the ward. He jumps over the wall and he has no way back out. So very awkward from him. That being said, Flannel still a decent bit ahead, so I think they're still all right, but they gotta play a little more careful.
Yeah, notably here, well, 2-1-1 themselves, so coming back from the deficit that they were in earlier. But notably, this Ashe has just been given all the opportunity and space to farm in that bot side, so they're now ahead. Meanwhile, Rept is being hunted down. It's going to get rooted up, and I don't think this is a kill. Never mind, it is a kill. Sunset executes him.
Yeah, that was a lot of damage from Seraphine, actually. I'm surprised. Meanwhile, Renekton is just, like, not even winning these trades against Horn already. It's very close. Kindred is going to look for this. I wonder if that's the mark. I'm guessing it is since he went so crazy for it. Nice setup, though.
Yep.
Good bait from the Renekton. Yeah, that is a nice little move. The Kraken Slayer also completed as a huge power spike for this champion. That's one of the reasons why Kindred kind of came back into the meta a little bit, is those Kraken Slayer buffs a while ago. But hold on, we have a bit of a dive bot. There's no TPs to respawn. So I think they're probably dead if they play this right. The Karma is going to tank it for now, but the one kill is going to be traded back already. They're going to get some plates, but critically they haven't killed the Ashe, so she's actually soaking up all this XP. I kind of want to see her just hit these minions so she can get the experience. It's not quite going to be enough. Really close there. Good dive from Final Boss, though. I'm really glad that they looked for that play. I think that Caitlyn is definitely dead to the Kindred here, though. She has overstayed for these plates. There's no way Sejuani's going to be able to stop this. She needs to just leave. And Gro's going to pick up another freebie here. I don't even know why Vigar's here. This is...
It's just Vigar's just there to watch,
Yeah, he was there. He was there. Dragon is spawned, though. It's another reason why Sejuani was so hyped to get back there and just abandoned Caitlyn. We'll see if they're able to get this. Caitlyn is up, so they're on a bit of a timer, but I think they're going to have enough, and this is going to be Flannel's Dragon.
Yeah, Sejuani is in the area, but was just taking their chickens. So, I mean, yeah, there we go. Drake is going to be secured. It's going to be the Mountain Soul to play for. Definitely not one of these strong gifts, but it's definitely not a bad soul to have. Obviously, the extra bit of tankiness is always a good thing, and I actually think Flannel was going to appreciate that a lot, because like I said, there's not a lot of tankiness besides the Renekton, who again is more of a bruiser than an outright tank. So I think that they're going to be super happy to get that. Meanwhile, Final Boss, if they are able to turn it and get those next 3 and get the soul, King of Spades might become a serious problem, because Ornn is already tanky in and of their own right, but get a Mountain Soul on them, and not a raid boss in terms of like a Mundo, but definitely becomes an absolute sponge for damage.
Yeah, the Black Cleaver bot early is a nice defensive option, obviously good against the Ornn for a lot of reasons, but just a good item in general. On Renekton, he likes the cooldown reduction, which is super nice. Meanwhile, both mid laners just kind of scaling up, not really doing too much early, just kind of vibing. But really, so far, it's Angrotus that has found himself super far ahead. He's got himself almost a 30 farm lead and 4 kills, and what is it now, 5 marks? It's a lot, but a little bit of a scrap bot. Powder's Dead is going to be in the minion wave. This is really bad for them. Just going to get chain CC'd by the ultimates from the bot side of Flannel. One is going to be traded back for now. I think the Vigar is coming, though, but Sedge is here, too. The ult is just barely going to connect. Vigar is certainly at least going to kill Walt here. I think the ult was maybe a little extra, but it's pretty funny to watch. 1 for 1 in the bot lane. Nice play from both teams.
Outplay button comes through. Meanwhile, Kindred is on the hunt here. Is going to be spotted by that bush, and notably, the mark is there on the Krugs.
Look at Final Boss's vision, by the way.
Angrotus? No way Angrotus gets out of this.
He probably does. I think he has ult. Yeah.
Yeah, respite. Yeah. Oh my God, Angrotus just absolutely yoinks the Krugs. I think that was also. That counts for them getting the mark, right? Did they get the mark there?
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to get the big one.
That's crazy. Heist of a century. Get someone call 100 Thieves.
Yeah, that was I don't know if that was worth it or not. Ult is a really long cooldown for Kindred. Really important ability, but she is going to get the mark, so I'm going to call it worth for now. Has all these camps to clear bot side as well, which is really nice. So yeah, I think that was a pretty slick move from Angrotus there. It was fun to watch, if nothing else. Yeah, looks good. Hold on.
On the bot side.
Yeah, this is a dead wall. I didn't even see this play coming. They are able to trade one back, though, critically. All of these fights have been not decisive. Both teams trading back. It seems like there's members dead across the board every single fight. But yeah, Final Boss is just going to be constantly pushing and getting punished by this Kindred, who is happy to collect these marks over and over and over again. Has all of her camps to clear, but she did get a little baited away from the Rift Herald. Personally, I'd take the kills over the Herald most of the time, but we'll see if Final Boss is able to do anything interesting with it.
Yeah, like you said, also, they do get that whole bottom side of their jungle, so that's going to be a nice little bit of CS as well, plus those 2 kills. This Kindred is getting very scary, 5-0-1, yet to be filled, 450 gold bounty. I mean, Walt is doing very good. Obviously, finished their first item. Feats of Warfare were also picked up by Final Boss. They obviously got the first 3 major jungle objectives, as well as that first turret down on the bot side. So that is a nice boon for them. It's going to help them kind of get back into this game, as they are still just about 2k gold behind. But like we've stated before, while they're down on kills and a little bit down on gold, they are massively ahead in the jungle objectives. So they have a lot of buffs and a lot of means to get themselves back into it.
Yeah, I'm wondering what this axe is going to turn into for Kindred. Kindred's one of those champions that can kind of build whatever she wants. She can build like crit, she can build bruiser items. I think it's going to be a Triforce. I think we're about to find out. I think the Triforce would probably be smart here. I think that it's probably her responsibility to kill the Ornn, but I'm going to interrupt myself to see the engage from Jake here onto the Seraphine. Not going to be enough to kill. The Vigar Cage is going to be able to stop it for now. Ash is able to fire a little bit onto Powder's dead. The Seraphine ult comes down, but the Redemption is able to kill one, it looks like. No, Caitlyn is. Yeah, so that was a bit of an oopsie there from Flannel, but the dragon is spawning now. Critically, though, Kindred is alive and does have that Trinity Force completed, so even though it is a 4v5, I'm not actually sure that Final Boss should feel comfortable taking this. I think they're going to have to leave. I would kind of like to see Flannel start this. Their mid-turret is getting murdered, though.
Yeah, mid-turret's gone. Drake is going to be started. Like you said, I think the biggest problem, though, is that 2 massive ults were used in that last fight. The Ash Arrow as well as the Encore from the Seraphine.
Oh, don't do it, Angro. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You have a shutdown.
No shot.
It's not worth it. Oh, she gets it. Oh,
There's no way. Lamb's Respite.
Yeah, I'm tilted. I'm tilted. It's actually good. That's crazy. What an insane play! Oh my god!
There's no way
I
Curtis lives this.
I had no faith. I had no faith.
How is Curtis alive?
He's just better. He's just better. He heard me talking about Jake being good, and he didn't want any more of that business. It's Angrotus is good today. An absolutely crazy play from him. I cannot believe that worked, but that is the exact kind of confidence you need to win these games.
The confidence of a madman to take that fight. That is insane. That is the 2nd time now he has stolen something that's really no right to have. First the Krugs, then the Drake. That is massive for them. They also get a bunch of kills off of that. That gold lead expands to just about 4,000. Lons is going to take this bot tier 1. They get the dragon off that. Top tier 1 is also gone for Final Boss now. Final pick that one up as well. And Grotus gets more kills, gets more assists, and still doesn't die. So the bounty yet again takes up the 600 gold. Wow, Flannel get everything and more than they wanted out of that fight.
By the way, Soren, did you catch that Kindred took the Krugs before the dragon too, which had a mark on it?
I did not. Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, so Kindred gets the mark from the Krugs, walks over to the dragon, casually steals that, and then wins the fight afterwards too without dying. It's criminal. It's not allowed. That is such a mental breaker. If you're on the side of Final Boss, that is completely criminal. Sejuani just sitting on like absolutely nothing. Kindred is gonna have almost 3 out of 4.
Look at the CS difference.
Yeah,
Look at the CS difference.
Lonza is, I don't even know why he flashed there. He's dead. I mean, oh my god, if he gets out of this. I would just go for the plant. Just go for the plant.
I don't know why you don't. Oh
no.
I don't understand the thought of trying to fight that. That's a 1v4. You're not winning that. But I think if they just ran away, they probably survive. Does Jake get caught now? No, Spell Shield's gonna protect them. But it does look like Flannel are itching for a fight here. They want to try to force the advantage that they have. Otacon is going to be up here soon. There we go. It's on the bot side as well. So both teams are in the area looking for an opportunity. King of Spades, I believe, is on the mid lane, however.
Yeah, the setup is not really there for Final Boss. I don't even know why they're pretending to do this, and I'm not sure why Flannel is biting. Like, there's no way that they can start this. Look at the mid wave is relatively even now, I guess. Flannel just needs to shove out this bot wave, and then they should be in a position to contest this. The most important thing for Flannel right now is that they don't walk through the jungle. Like, get out of this jungle. Like, this is the only way they lose this. They just need to leave. The Seraphine ult critically does get down, which is a good start. However, there's a huge knockup from the Orange. Sunset Diner is going to be the first to go down. Lonza is looking for the backline, but he's not able to get into the fight now. The Ashe is trying to run away from the Sejuani, and she's able to kite it really well. Chaotic is playing this incredibly well, but is it enough? And Grotus is already low. The Vigar ult is going to execute one. The Kindred ult is already down. We'll see if he's able to get over the wall. I think that this Sejuani is going to go down next. Kindred is able to clear the Sejuani too, as Rep is forced to hobble away, and he loses the fight to the minions. This is going to be Otacon for the side of Flannel, and probably what they need to finish this game off.
That is absolutely massive. Yet again, and Grotus surviving despite the odds. Insanely good play from Sunset Diner, doing just enough before being felled to get their team over that line. What was that? I think it was technically a 3-man encore, but the spell shield protects the Morgana, but also pulls that out super early in the fight. So it only finds 2, but it was off the stun of the Q. It's just really well played, sets everything up, does a bit of damage, and obviously Chaotic does everything needed. Super good with the kiting to secure a kill, and then the rest of the firepower between Lonza and Grotus and Mr. Badonkadonk are just able to clean up the scraps. It is great. Otacon is secured. The big pieces still have not died. There's Vigar very quietly, by the way, 4-0-5, doing really, really good in this matchup. Yeah. Again, it's just another scenario where Flannel kind of got everything that they wanted and needed and more out of that engage, and Final Boss are yet again on the back foot. Though Drake is up, and it looks like, again, Final Boss are going to try to set the tone here, try to set the pace, as they're the ones setting up for this Drake early.
Yeah, I almost feel like Flannel should just ignore this. Like, they should just push. Yeah, that's actually what they're doing. They're just going for King of Spades here, which is a good look, I think. They just need to not overchase too much. Jake does a nice fadeaway ult on the Chaotic, which is good. The Ashe Arrow is able to connect onto the Morgana, who isn't able to get the Black Shield up. Ashe is firing on the King of Spades. That's one down. Renekton is buying a ton of time. He's being focused now, but he's not able to be killed, as Flannel is just going to run down the rest of the Final Boss here. Surely the Ashe is going to be enough. If nothing else, they should be able to get the Drake here. Yeah, oh my god, this is crazy from the Vigar, by the way. Vigar engage is sufficient. He is weirdly tanky. The Kindred ult is going to buy a ton of time. That was a nice play from the side of Flannel. Very coordinated as they're able to clean up the rest of them. And this Dragon is going to be next, and their mid turret is almost certainly going down as well. They just leave Kindred to do this. The rest of you just go mid. Take the Renekton's got the right idea. He's going to go try and get this top turret, maybe some jungle camps. Either way, it's great for Flannel.
I did see Grotus definitely feeling themselves there, flashing the master, doing it again. 11 marks, by the way. Yeah, and Grotus having a game of their life right now. 10-0-7, 700 gold bounty. Obviously, Vigar also doing well. Again, like you said, weirdly tanky. He's able to survive that despite acting as the bait and pretty much walking into 3 members of Final Boss, but it makes no difference. They get the kills anyway. And now it becomes a game of managing the hemorrhaging of blood. Final Boss are bleeding out all over the rift, and it's just a matter of trying to fight the fires where they can. But Flannel, they're just in dominant position. They are super far ahead. A lot of their key pieces are just so far ahead of their opponents that it's difficult for them to overcome. And they got the Otacon. Obviously, they just got that next Drake, so they're at soul point. But Baron is up here in the next 40 seconds, and with how much presence we're seeing towards this top side of jungle, I would not be surprised if we see Flannel try to go for this Baron. Even if it gets interrupted, they just turn and they probably still win the fight regardless.
Yeah, so something I've been thinking about watching this game actually is, so you're a caster, you understand this, right? Like, nobody wants to hear you be negative all the time, but hold on, here we go. This is going to be definitely a Karma down at least. Sejuani is connected with that ult as well, and she's going down too. Walt is clipped by the Seraphine E, but it's not going to be enough. This is looking like a death march for Flannel, but they're only able to actually get one for now. I think that they're just going to run back to this Baron, which is just
Yep.
now spawning.
Smart.
But anyway
Smart
though,
call.
as I was saying, we have a tendency to sugarcoat things and make it sound like teams are like playing really well, but a lot of times it's not the case. Usually, it's like one team is kind of messing up. I don't really think Final Boss is playing that bad this game. I think Flannel is just playing an amazing game. Like, this is one of the highest quality games I think we've seen from a team this split. I just genuinely
Yeah.
think they're playing incredibly well. We were worried in draft that they didn't really have a bridge, but I'm like talking as Renekton is just casually solo killing Wrapped.
Yeah, and
uh,
he's
and
getting
he just
out
walks
of that
around.
pace.
Oh man. I gotta stop talking and just let the game tell a story, man, because this is nuts. And he's coming back. He's not done.
Why not? He knows that there's so much pressure being put onto that top lane. What are they gonna do? Even if they're still in the area, they're just gonna go back and deal with Lonzo. It's gonna cost them so much pressure in their own base. And Lonzo is now in a position where King of Spades is just so far behind, 2 levels back. The damage is just firmly in the hands of this Croc, and the Croc is bloodthirsty. Just gotta start doing some damage under the turret, and Grotus is gonna make their presence known. Bye-bye, King of Spades. Has to flash over the wall just to save themselves. That turret is gone. But you're right. Final boss, it's not that they're even playing bad. Flannel are just playing super, super well. And a couple of things early into the game just made it very difficult for them to deal with. Obviously, we haven't given a lot of praise over to Chaotic besides some really good plays and some team fights, but picking up those 2 kills early meant that they had a lot of pressure in lane, which meant Angrotus was able to stay down on that bot side and pretty consistently get a lot of value from those ganks, which helped get Angrotus super far ahead. And once Angrotus got super far ahead, they just had really good macro to stay on the front foot. Rep, I think, is just gone. Yep, Spell Shield means nothing. The damage is insane from Chaos.
Yeah, Mr. Pedonk able to get a lot of damage onto the Caitlyn as well. Ornn is able to connect with 3, but it's only going to buy them a little bit of time as the death march continues.
So I'm assuming is the goal here. A minute left on the clock. And Grotus, don't die, please. Not after we give you all that praise. You're still also deathless, so that is a nice thing to tip your cap on. So they're going to play a little bit careful. But I'd imagine they're just continuing to siege wherever they can. Try not to hand anything crazy over to final boss. And then at about 40 seconds, turn back, secure the soul, and look for the death march. If it's not going to come out now, depending on if someone falls, the game actually just might be over.
Yeah, I mean they got 3 minion waves with Baron here. Like, what is the wave clear from Final Boss? 1 Caitlyn, I guess. Morgana, sorta. She is so far behind. Yeah, these turrets are going down to the minion onslaught. Ashpoke is doing a lot. King of Spades is already going to be the first to go down from the looks of it. Renekton is able to get in. The Seraphine ult connects onto 2, plus the Vigar cage. The Vigar ult just destroys Caitlyn. She is dead so fast, it's not even funny. And at 28 minutes, Flannel is able to close out a clean one.
Clean is the understatement, I think, there. 13-0-8 was the Kindred, 5-0-9 was the Vigar. And again, it didn't even feel like Final Boss played bad. There was never a moment where we were going, Final Boss, what are you doing? What are you doing? We actually saw that more with Flannel and us going, Angrotus, what are you doing? Don't do that. But Angrotus would win it regardless. And honestly, I think if this game had a little bit less of Angrotus doing things and just getting away with it, this might have been a much closer game, but he did, which meant Final Boss never really got a foothold, and they did what they could with the situation they were in. But man, it was very, very clean. It was a very well played game for Hot. I almost said high alert there from Flannel. And when a team is performing on that level, it's very difficult to have much of a say or try to claw your way back in.
Next game, I would bet any money that we see some kind of hard carry from Jake. I'm talking Karthus, I'm talking Lilia, things like that.
Oh yeah.
I just have a feeling. I just have a feeling. We'll see. But been in this boat before, and it's not a fun one to be in. But I think that Final Boss will be able to recover from this. I think that there are some veteran players on the team that have been in situations like this before. It's one game. We'll see what they come back with for game 2.
Absolutely. And one thing that is, I feel like, very clear in this league is that some of the top players, and you can recognize it because they do this very frequently, a lot of top players in this league, when they have a rough game one, they almost always have a stellar game two, even if they don't win. I can think of a couple games where Metro, when they were just absolutely frying after having a really rough game one, they come back in the game two, pick a comfort champion that they know they can operate well, and just hammer the rock and just beat whoever they're in lane with. So I'm excited to see. I agree. I think this might be a crazy game for Jake. But with all that being said, we are going to send it over to a quick break, let the players get a drink, do all that stuff, and we'll be back with game number 2 in just a couple of minutes. Game number 1 is in the books. We are looking eyes forward the game number 2, but man, Flannel with an incredible performance. They are going to be riding high on the momentum. It is now all on the final boss to see how they respond. ADHD, what are you hoping to see change here? Because obviously, a lot of things have to change for a final boss. This is again Fearless, so none of the champions picked in the last game are going to be available to them this time around. But whatever they picked last time seemingly did not work because they lost almost every lane as well as most of the team fighting. So, what are you hoping to see change?
I used to say actually. So the first thing I want to see change is for losing teams to stop picking red side. I don't know what the obsession with red side is. Like it's like last game we counterpicked Ornn with Renekton. I mean it worked I guess, but like like if that's the kind of counterpicks we're getting, like I just don't think red side is that good. I think blue side is super valuable. Probably gonna see a B1 Jinx. I feel like we always see that game too. Something to that effect. I just think blue side is so good. So with that rant out of the way, um, the first thing I want to see is I want to see final boss prioritize towards the top side of the map instead of attempting to salvage bot. I think that Jake feels like he has to constantly gank this bot lane to like make sure they don't fall too far behind, but he's just putting himself behind. Like I think that last game, the final boss top laner actually played pretty well. I think he was able to find good engages on the Ornn, was able to connect with a lot of those W's and played pretty well. He was just really behind because he didn't get any attention against a Renekton lane. So I would really like to see Boss prioritized the top side of the map rather than the bot side of the map. We did see that Renekton for Flannel the last game was kind of the weak link. There weren't a lot of like bad moments for Flannel, but it was Renekton getting caught a couple of times. So I think that that's an easy prio switch for Final Boss in terms of jungle attention. But that's just an Mbessa B1. That's gonna maybe try to invalidate the R5 advantage for top lane by just refusing to engage with that and just blinding Mbessa.
Yeah. It looks like it's going to be responded in kind by Yorick, which is interesting. I don't know what that matchup looks like on paper, but Yorick is always a threat. Yorick could be 0-6, and just because of who he is as a character, he could be a massive threat on the side lane. So I don't hate it. It's just definitely a weird one. And Bessa is definitely going to help a lot more in the actual team fighting scenario. But obviously, Flannel going to have to play around those side lanes with Yorick in play. So I'm intrigued. And okay, so they have moved on. R2 is going to be Talia, which is interesting. Definitely not one of the stronger mid lane mages, especially. Okay. I think Draftwall was just having a night, was struggling in game one, and it's already crashed here in game number two. So we'll keep you updated as we can. But that's a Talia and R2.
Yeah, I think Talia is a good champion. I'm not sure how I feel about blinding it with York though. Typically you pick Talia with some kind of like easy CC, like a Pantheon or something like that. Obviously the York can cage people, but like it's not really the best. I think if they follow that up with like a Leona or a Nautilus or something like that from the support lane, it could be good for sure. Um, so I think that's definitely an option. In terms of the Ambessa York matchup, I don't know much about Ambessa, but I played this matchup, or I played against York as an Aatrox yesterday, and I found out that AoE abilities do not one-shot the ghouls. You actually have to hit them multiple times. So I'm assuming that Ambessa's kind of like AoE swipes uh, actually don't one-shot the ghouls, which if that's the case, seems like it would be very bad for her. If they do one-shot them, then it's very favorable to her. Obviously, she can't skip over walls either, so the cage is pretty effective against Ambessa. Not a lot of types of CC are super great, but that is one that will stop her inner which is cool. So I'm gonna say that that's probably York favored. In terms of the rest of the draft, we don't see anything. I'm assuming they're resetting it right now, but we will. Okay, I just heard from Giggle that we're going to a different website, so if the graphics look a little funny, that'll be why. But
Okay. So it looks like with that swap over to a new website, we are actually not going to have the graphics. So we are just going to have to verbally narrate it to you guys. Some good old fashioned yapping as we both pulled up here so we can get the information for you guys.
all right, it
All
looks
right.
like Flannel has followed up the Talia pick with a Rise pick, which I do like. I think Rise and Ambessa is a great
Yeah.
two man start. Both champs very effective in the side lane, and Trundle gonna be the next pick. So for the side of Flannel, just since you can't see it, it is currently Ambessa, Rise, Trundle, and Final Boss is currently Yorick and Talia. They're third picking red side right now. I would expect to see. It looks like it's going to be the Tristana locked in for ADC, which tells me that they are looking to pick one of those engaged champs that I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like a Leona here, a Nautilus, I think would also do pretty well. Just something that can really help facilitate this Tristana, as well as just have some solid CC to help with the Talia. We do see that Braum ban as the R4 ban for Final Boss. I don't think that's bad. Obviously, support is still up for Flannel, and with no top side to be left to be picked. I don't think that Braum is a bad ban at all. One of the better draft champions. We do see the Nautilus from Flannel get banned away, so that's a good response to that Tristana pick from Final Boss.
Yeah, the Braum ban tells me that even more that they're looking to pick Leona or Nautilus. So I'm assuming that Flannel is going to ban Leona here as well. Final Boss also banned the Zaya because once again they're very clearly trying to pick and engage supports, which I maybe at a certain point you're telegraphing it too hard. I think. Uh, by the way, I am just remembering that this Talia could potentially be a flex for Final Boss. That champion can jungle. So I think we're about to find out. It is Flannel banning the Nocturne last. So just to remind you all, that is Nautilus and Nocturne banned for Flannel, and Zaya and Braum banned in phase 2 for Final Boss. Final Boss is picking R4 right now, and it is gonna be the Zyra, which is not. I'm totally lost. I don't understand, but okay, it's the
Zyra,
Zyra. I guess I
Zyra used to be able to go jungle, but that got nerfed
yeah.
into the ground, didn't it?
No, I actually, on second thought, I think it probably is jungle. I got
Yeah.
baited. I got baited by the old school stuff. Uh, I'm hoping it's jungle, but Talia Zyra doesn't exactly inspire a lot of confidence. For me, and I'm not sure what they're holding their support pick for since it seems obvious. So I don't know. It's a little weird, but Flannel does lock into Rakan with B4. We're waiting on that B5 so that we can see what kind of counter pick Final Boss can get in the support position against the Rakan. Flannel looks like they're going to lock in the Ezreal for their last pick ADC. That is an Ezreal Rakan bot lane for the side of Flannel.
Yeah, I like that. That's obviously a lot of lane pressure. Also has a lot of potential to just outright win the lane with a little bit of skill expression. Tristana, though, also, I guess, does help with the Tristana. A lot of mobility on both of those champions. So if Tristana goes in, both of them are pretty capable of getting themselves out. So that is nice. Does make me question what I agree. I don't know what this is. Okay. It's an Amumu on the R5. All right.
Um,
So that's got to be a Mumu in the jungle. I'm assuming
yeah,
that does mean that that is Zyra in the support role, which I don't know if I like at all. Talia's almost certainly mid. Yeah, I don't. Hmm.
it sucks. It sucks, Soren. I'll say it. It's not good. It's not good.
I
It's especially bad. Giggle is telling us that it is a Mumu support. That is a champion that does occasionally get played in the support position.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I've actually played this champ support before. It's definitely a real champion, but only if you're getting some kind of like insane flex out of it, right? Like that's the only scenario I can think
yeah.
why you would want to
I
pick it
mean,
support.
it's to be fair, he's also a bit of a just a stun champion. He has like what 3 pieces of CC in his kit, I think. Um, so like there's a lot of potential to just lock someone down, which does help enable that Tristana as well as that Talia. So I don't think it's outright bad. I just I don't know how I feel about the Amumu going in the support role and Zyra being the jungler. I know Zyra used to do a lot of damage. I'm pretty sure the jungle did get nerfed for her. I'm I'm mostly concerned because obviously Yorick is going to be doing Yorick things. Yorick doesn't fight with a team. Yorick is obviously going to be up on the side lane for probably the entire game. I don't see a world where this Talia, Tristana, Zyra, and Amumu beats out in a 4v4 against the Ryze, Trundle, Rakan, and Ez. I think Flannel, that pairing of 4 is really solid. And if they can get into a fight where Mbessa is there as well, while Yorick is not, then Mbessa can absolutely, I think, demolish pretty much the entirety of those 4. I think the only person the Mbessa is going to struggle to 1v1 Yorick, and that's because, again, it is Yorick, and he is tanky, and he's a side laner, so he has an ungodly amount of survivability. But I think everyone else is just free pickings for this Ambessa. So she can get out of that side lane for even a moment to have an impact on the rest of the map. She can dominate. So I don't like this composition for Final Boss. That is a weird one, especially with how good their last one was, even if it was unsuccessful.
Let me let me try to pitch this to you. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to sell
Okay.
this, but I'll try. I think
Tell me
Amumu
this.
has Amumu has the magic amp in his kit, which just
Okay.
increases the damage of all magic on his team. So he's good to pair up with AP champions like Talia and Zyra, especially since maybe you can get some crazy like Amumu R and Zyra alt stuff, right? So like maybe there's some synergy there. The actual advantage that I do think that Final Boss has is that Zyra is quite favorable into Trundle in the jungle. There's not a lot of champions that are good into Trundle. I think Zyra is one of the only ones. She is really hard to walk into, which is really all Trundle can do, and she farms super super fast. And Trundle's big weakness as a jungler is that he farms really slow. So if Zyra just doesn't interact at all with Trundle, she can, you know, get to the 20-minute mark and have 180 farm when Trundle has like 120, and just have like 2 items for Autocon Dragonfight while Trundle is stuck on like 1.5. So that's really the advantage, I think. A lot of the champions on the side of Flannel do just kind of want to go at you, and I do think that there is some good disengage options on the side of Final Boss. But that's stretching it a bit. I do think that on paper, at least if you look at the comps in isolation, Flannel's comp looks way better to me.
Yeah, but as always, we are just gonna have to wait and see. We can talk as much as we want, but we will have to wait and see how everything actually plays out on the Rift. We're gonna send it over to a quick break to let Spectator Delay do its thing, and when we're back, we'll be back into the action with game number 2 of this best of 5. Don't go anywhere. Game number 2 getting underway here. Definitely a very interesting composition from Final Boss. We're going to have to wait and see how that comes through. If you are just now joining us, we have an Amumu support and a Zyra in the jungle. I did see in the chats that I think I was correct that there Yorick does win this matchup on the top lane versus Mbessa pretty much anytime after getting level 6. But obviously, Mbessa has a lot more value when it comes to actual team fights because Yorick is a massive side laning champion. So I don't know how much impact he'll have on team fights where Mbessa has a pretty good amount of mobility and might be able to have a little bit more say around the map than the Yorick. So definitely something to keep an eye out for, but she will have the advantage early on. I'm intrigued to see how Flannel take this game. Obviously, they're coming in with a lot of momentum from that game number 1. I'm intrigued to see if they try to push their luck here.
Getting visions of the last series we watched. Do you remember when somebody just walked in to die on this Raptor Camp's award?
Yep.
I thought for sure that was coming. Yorick goes for a pretty risky one, but he's able to get that vision down onto the blue buff, which is nice. So a little bit of vision traded. Raptor for blue buff. I think that's a pretty decent one. Final Boss is going to know that Trundle is starting on the bot side. And Flannel has a little bit less information on where Zyra is starting because her clear is so fast she can kind of start wherever. But it looks like she is going to start red side.
Yeah, as we do see, top side is going to be a little brawly here. Again, Lanza's going to be the clear favorite early on up until that level 6. So I'd imagine we see this top laner and Mbessa just try to put as much pressure onto the Yorick early on as possible. Meanwhile, this is level 1, back and forth, seems pretty even down on the bot side. It really does become a matter of who's going to get that level 2 first. And it looks like more and more it might be going to Final Boss, which is a difference from last game. Though it's going to be close.
Yeah, Amumu is actually really strong at level 1. When he's in the support role, he can just start Q at level 1, and he has 2 CC abilities when every other champion in the game only has 1. Looks like they are going to go for it here. Sunset Diner's going to take a lot of damage from the Tristana and the Amumu, but it's going to be traded relatively evenly so far, despite the Aftershock advantage for the Amumu. So both supports going to get pretty hurt there. Meanwhile, Zyra is already a camp ahead in the jungle. Trundle is going to look to invade, which I think is smart here. He does have priority mid lane, but he does not have prio bot, so this is pretty risky. At any moment, Final Boss can decide to walk up here and defend this, but it looks like they're just going to watch their jungler get destroyed by this Trundle. Trundle is so OP. This champ is disgusting. Like, it is so crazy to watch. He's going to be forced to flash out, able to dodge the Leah Flick, which is going to go completely wide. It's a 4v2, though, as Final Boss is going to be forced to run for the hills, and Angrosa is not going to be able to get out of this. It was a good look. The Recon is here, but the W is going to whiff on everybody. Powder's dead is next. Zyra is able to connect. Low health bar for everyone. Tristana with the double kill already. And it looks like there's more to come. Red team has claimed the Speed of Warfare already. Yeah, Walt is still going. That's a flash. Chaotic is just barely going to survive this. And that is a crazy start. Final Boss going to get the better of this one, though.
That is huge, and a bit of a mirror from last game, where last time around, Chaotic was the one that gets 2 kills early. Meanwhile, this time, Chaotic gets nothing. The kill goes over to the Rise, which is still pretty good, but definitely not great, seeing as Rise also falls. But this Tristana, now 2-0-1. Talia also 1-0-2. That is a massive chunk of change going into this Tristana, who is going to have a pretty solid lead and then being in a pretty advanced state for the early stages of this game. That is a massive boon to Final Boss.
Yeah, I think Flannel's abilities just kind of missed there, I'm going to be honest. Ragon didn't really get connected to anything there. It was a bit of a tilt play from Angrosa, I think, because when you're playing these champions that farm really slow, the correct play is almost always to do exactly what Angrosa did and try and invade for that on that 5th camp, which is exactly what he did, and he is able to win out really hard on that exchange. The problem is he just doesn't have the lane priority for it. Tristana and Amumu are just pummeling this bot lane somehow, and he's just not paying attention to that. And they're just the first to move, and it's a 4v2 for like a full 10 seconds, so Final Boss just wins the numbers games, really. And Flannel kind of just walks in.
Okay. Is that Hex Flash being used by Powder's Dead? definitely a little interesting there. But yeah, no, also, I think the Mumu did get a lot of value there with the bandages. Just absolutely hitting and locking down the jungler and Grotus. So that was also a massive win for them, as Mr. Donk having to flash themselves, but stuck into an awkward position. They're just going to go down, and Grotus is going to try to find something, but the push away from the Talia means they get nothing out of that, and Mr. Donk falls. Got another kill going into the pockets of final boss.
The flash from Rise was so weird there. He was flashing towards his jungle, and oh my god, Angrotus is not even saving his own jungle now. His final boss is just devouring this jungle. Yeah, this is looking like it's getting a bit messy here, as Flannel is kind of collapsing. Not able to defend their jungler. Maybe a little bit of punishment for the earlier play from Angrotus.
Yeah, Drake is just going to be secured, completely uncontested, which is not surprised. Flannel are super far behind. We're at 6 minutes, and it's already about a 2k gold lead in favor of final boss. That is a massive gap this early. That is the kind of gap that it becomes very difficult to overcome unless there's a massive misplay from final boss. And I really don't see that happening. Yeah, say what I want. It might be a caster curse, but like we said before, final boss didn't really misplay last game. They just couldn't really get a foothold. But now that they're in a pretty good spot, I'm not expecting them to make any crazy decisions and give away a lead like this.
Angrotus, I'm begging you. Your mid lane doesn't have prio. He's dead. He's almost definitely dead. Less rep just misses everything. Oh my god, he missed the stun target. Oh my god, Angrotus is able to get a lot of damage done, but it doesn't matter. In the end, he still goes down. These plays are just the most obvious reads ever. Like, anybody that plays the game knows that as soon as he goes for that grab, he's dead. Like, he's done. He has no prio. Feeling a little hypey from last game. He goes from, what was it, 13-0 to 0-3 in the first 7 minutes of this game. Chill out. Relax.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe a little bit of overheating here as final boss continue to expand their lead. They're just under a 3k gold lead now. Still haven't hit the 10-minute mark. I mean, first streak was obviously secured by final boss. I mean, we're not. How many more minutes? I think we're only a couple minutes away from Grubs coming through, but Flannel are really not in a position to do anything. Zyra is obviously on the top side, and we actually see a little bit of convergence here. It looks like everyone might be going into the jungle. It looks like final boss are going to go hunting to try to find Angrotus again.
They might be biting up a little more than they can chew here, or not. Some flashes come out, and Grotus is chunked out a bit, but he's able to get away just barely. This is certainly going to be Grubs for the side of final boss, though, as once again they're here on spawn. Flannel has got to adapt to this a bit. They did this last game too. At a certain point, like, you can only let them get away with it so many times before you need to start adapting a little bit. The Mumu and the Zyra are going to do a really good job of cleaning out these Void Grubs pretty much instantly. A bit of some cool synergy there. Really easily taken from them. And yeah, final boss is solidly in the driver's seat. 3k gold lead at 9 minutes is possibly one of the biggest gold leads I've ever seen in 9 minutes. That is nuts.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of handed over 3 kills so early. And it's not even really down to CS. I mean, there's a little bit of a gap in between the junglers. There's about 20 CS gap on the top side. But, like, besides that, it's all within 10. So it's nothing crazy on the CS front. It is just the amount of kills that have gone over the final boss that have been completely isolated from Flannel. Lanza, now in level 8 duels, is going to start struggling against this Yorick, and with the rest of the team struggling, Lanza's gonna have a lot less impact because there's not as much value they can get from roaming down. Powder's dead. He's gonna get caught out here.
It doesn't connect, but it doesn't matter. They're able to get the first kill down, but Tristana is going to be able to reset onto Angrotus here. That is the Troll King, my friends, as he completes his 4th death before 10 minutes. Somehow, Ambessa is trading favorably into Yorick. Last time I looked, Ambessa was in a completely dire position, but somehow she's got Yorick in a position where he is also low. So it must have been a good play on the top side while the scrapping bot lane was occurring. This dragon is going to be spawning soon, though, so both teams will surely be positioning around that. As look at the vision for final boss in Angrosis' jungle on the bot side of the map. It is crazy. Yeah, and this Tristana can just do whatever she wants this game.
Yeah, pretty much. And honestly, I would not be surprised if the moment this Drake starts, they just try to go for it. Because again, there's just so much vision control that the fact that they don't see, never mind, they do see Ingrotus. Ingrotus is firmly on the top side now. But the fact that we see Ingrotus up there means that there's no one down here on the bot side around this Drake. With it up in 20 seconds, I feel like is pretty much the green light for Jake to go and get that practically uncontested, and it looks like that's what they're going to do. They might even go for a gank, you know, get a little bit of dessert on the side while they're at it, if the opportunity arises.
Yeah, Flannel should give this dragon. they shouldn't go anywhere near it. All of Angrotis' camps are up. He was able to fix the top side for Ambessa. Normally, in this situation, you would be like having your Ambessa reset and walk top so you can contest drag, but Flannel is so far behind. They're just going to do the right thing and TP this Ambessa top so she can kind of keep York stuck here, which is absolutely the correct move, I think. This bot lane is getting beat up, but you just kind of got to accept that when Tristana has 4 kills and a full item at 11 minutes. So Flannel has just got to play the spectator game for at least 10 more minutes, I think.
Yeah, there we go. Drake is going to be picked up. That was the air or the cloud Drake, excuse me. So one of the best Drakes in the game, not going to be available, as well as the Inferno was the first Drake. So two of the best, not going to be the Souls. It's going to be the Ocean, which is definitely one of the weaker ones. It's not one of the terrible ones, but it is definitely not amazing. But a little bit of health regen is not bad. You know, not going to say no to it, but it's definitely not going to be as high priority as, say, like an Otacon. So definitely something to keep an eye on. As we see a bit of a convergence here from Final Boss, making their way down to the bot side. It looks like they're going to try to handicap and take away more from this bot lane, but no one's there anymore. It looks like they might be just trying to take the opportunity to take some camps, maybe even take the turret.
Yeah, a little bit of a scrap top, but this is mean what they're doing bot side, by the way. This is going to work. I think. Meanwhile, the Rise is able to kill King of Spades on the top side. I think just barely. And Grotus is able to clean it up. Sorry, I was looking at the map there. I got a little distracted. They're just forcing this bot lane away from the turret. They can't even walk up to it. They have no idea if Zyra is still there or not. So Ezreal is forced to just sit here and watch this tower get destroyed. This is actually a really nice play for Final Boss. Even though Flannel is able to get the trade kill on the top, it's able to secure them and kill on the bot side. This flash is insane, by the way. Mr. Badonkadonk just says, Rept has no business being in this lane. As Angrotis is going to walk him down too. Jake Flash is there. The ult is going to be enough to clean it up. As Angrotis is certainly going to be next to Flick. Does connect. He is going to go down as well. That's a double kill for Jake. Big flip in the jungle position this game from the last one.
I mean, we both said this was the opportunity. You know, some of the best players in this league, they might have a bad game one, but it feels like almost universal. They come back with a really, really strong game two, and Jake is coming back to win, and so is the rest of the roster. Again, Final Boss didn't play bad in game one. They just couldn't get a foothold, and they started off on the right foot here in game number two, and they have not let up off the gas. It is all gas, no brakes, as they continue to just choke Flannel out of every opportunity. And it's looking more and more decided, despite the fact that we're not even at the 15-minute mark. It's already, what, 5K gold lead in favor of Final Boss? That is absurd.
Yeah, they're playing with an extra man right now with that gold advantage. So Flannel is going to have to look for something messy here, because any kind of straight-up fight is not going to be good. Speaking of which, Chaotic is going to get out, but at the cost of his support. The Talia wall used, but happy to get that freebie. It just feels like anything Flannel attempts is going to be bad, so the only answer is to just kind of sit there and do nothing. Which, I'm going to be honest, I don't think Flannel wants to do. I think they're just going to keep running in and looking for plays, which is definitely the fun option. I'm not sure it's the right one, though, as Angrotis is stuck between a rock and a hard place. He's able to get the Q off on a King of Spades, which is going to be pretty effective, but it's just not enough. Amumu's here, too. They don't even have the man advantage. And Bessa is able to get a fair bit of damage done here. The flash over the Amumu Q is nice, but at the end of the day, it's a 3v1 and he goes down.
Yeah, Alonso tries to go down to help Engrotus, and it just gets super punished. That's going to get Prio up on the top side, which means this Rift Herald is also going to be picked up for practically free. Minute and 20 seconds left on the clock until the next Drake, so they're going to be able to pick up that Rift Herald immediately. I was going to say immediately walk down. They might be able to recall, clear that blue side jungle, and then go and take that Drake yet again uncontested, because like you said, really any option here for Flannel is pretty bad. I would like to see them start skirmishing more. Right now, they constantly are being caught out in 2v1s or 1v1s, which is just not going to go their way. If they could start doing some pack mentality, maybe find some 3v1s that could be in their favor, I could see Final Boss starting to struggle. But as of right now, if they don't make any adjustments, Flannel are just going to get rolled, and it's going to be a very quick segue into game number 3.
Flannel is cursing Ember right now. R.I.P. That FF roll would have been really nice to not have this game, because this one is brutal. That being said, we have seen in the past that Flannel has managed to stall out some of these games, so I think they still might think there's some hope in this one, even though it looks pretty dire across the board.
Alrighty, mid-tier 1 obviously gone here for Flannel, and Walt is just doing the work onto the tier 2 while Rept is starting the siege. Rift Herald is going to be put onto the bottom side. There's no tier 1s left for Flannel as they are just now hemorrhaging blood. Turret down on bot side is destroyed. Just going to force a little bit of a rotation here as there's just this death triangle walking towards this mid-tier 2, and Engrotus, I don't know if you're gonna be able to get out. Definitely not. So much is invested to keep him locked down. Engrotus, yet again, it's gonna fall. Lonzo doing what they can to hold the line. They're gonna get, is that 3 charges out of Shelly? Because they also used it onto the tier 2 there. That's kind of crazy, as they're gonna do a lot of damage, take a lot of turrets, immediately turn to look to take that next Drake, get the soul point. Final boss. Yeah, I'm not going to say they're toying with their food quite yet. I don't think it's that over, but they're definitely having fun with it right now.
That was some crazy driving. Look, like, there's one thing I can take away from this game. I always compliment people that are good at driving that thing, because I see so many bums on the Rift. Like, watching these guys drive this thing is embarrassing sometimes. But that was a really good one. Find a little bit of fun in this one. Powder's Dead officially has their license in my eyes. Give that man the Rift Herald. Let him drive that thing, because that was nice. You can see Engage off. He kills the tower. Sets it up for another one. That was pretty cool. The one blessing for the side of Flannel this game, I think, is that the champions that are fed on Final Boss are incredibly good at killing towers. So this one is probably going to be over quick. I know that Final Boss is on the clock today, so they are looking to finish this up quick, as Amumu is going to face check into 3, and he's just, this Aftershock, he's just invincible. Jake is able to do a lot of damage onto their con. Tristana is not quite able to reset, so she just jumps in and is forced to immediately ult. Ryze is doing a lot of damage. The AoE is good, but the Rakan flashes into nothing. You can't redirect W, by the way, despite what he would have you believe. And as they're going in, it looks like Flannel is actually winning this with the extra man. Yorick not able to get to the fight. Does he have TP? I can't tell based on the small window. It looks like it's up. He's just watching, man, but he's taking the turret, so has decided that.
That's exactly what I said could happen. But the thing is Yorick is going to get value, but is not going to get this turret. So say what you want. Oh, he should not get this turret. Actually, might still, but is probably going to fall as Sunset Diner is going to help out the top laner. But God, it's taking so long to secure this kill. King of Spades is still like,
oh my god.
Shot.
They don't
There's
kill him.
no way in hell that just happened. And King of Spades is going to win the fight and get the other kill. Oh, no. Hey,
I
right
didn't
about
hear
now,
no bell.
that is the moment. You already mentioned that, you know, they're going to be kicking themselves up. The FF rule came into place 2 weeks ago. That might be the moment where That could have been the make or break if that rule had not been introduced yet, because that is a rough loss there for Flannel. They end up getting the kill, but it takes way too much investment, including the ultimate from the Rise. That's just insane. Otacon is up. It's going to be completely untested. Yeah.
By the way, I want to point out that
Honestly, at this point,
York
it's a
was
race to
1
get
and
this
2.
game over.
York was 1 and 2 for that fight, I think. Had one item. That champion is not balanced in this elo. I think anything below like Diamond Master York is just the best champ in the game. Like, he's so broken. The fact that he's getting picked in pro play should be evidence that he is broken in everything else. He is disgusting. He's not balanced. If he's good enough to be picked in elite level to play, because realistically all he does is walk at you, right? So if his stats are good enough to do that in pro play, they are definitely good enough to do in this elo, as we see here.
You see the jungles kind of get split here, as there's a lot of vision control, and it was a clear out of that top side red for Flannel. Meanwhile, they've lost a lot of control and vision on that bottom side red as well. So kind of split down mid lane here. But it really does feel like it's coming to a head. The next big fight might just be the nail in the coffin for Flannel as they find Sunset Diner. Not even time to let you have a word in, ADHD. They are just gone. Delete it from the server.
Was that the world's shortest recon W? It looked like it was like 2 inches. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Something else I don't understand is, why does Flannel have all these wards in Final Boss's topside jungle? Dragon is spawning, what's the point? But Rise is here. The pillar is actually going to interrupt the wall, but Trundle is still just stuck on the other side of it, so it's not going to amount to anything. That is definitely a goofy looking one as they look for the play on the top side. To try desperately to get this one kill before this dragon spawns in 30 seconds, but they're not able to get it. And Talia does have TP, so it's all kind of for nothing. All they can really do is hope that this Yorick, like, major overextends with no support, but this is definitely Dragon Soul for Final Boss, if not the game.
Absolutely. I mean, depends on if something happens. Lanja's just gonna go in. Finds 2, though.
Yeah, this is a decent look. I mean, the fact that this isn't immediately over is evidence that it was at least pretty good considering the gold deficit. Powder's dead is just barely able to walk out. The dragon has spawned. HP bars are low for the side of Final Boss, but I don't think they care. Like, the minions are in such a positive position for Final Boss that it just doesn't matter. They can just walk back and take this dragon whenever they feel like, reset their health bars. Honestly, I mean, that was a decent look. I think that was about as good of a chance as they're going to get. And the fact that they don't die and they're able to even almost win that is something, but it's just too little too late.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they've also kind of plateaued that gold lead. Obviously, we saw it was just continuously falling more and more into the favor of Final Boss. And what, since around the 14-minute mark, it was around a 5K. And since then, it's been about, what, 10, almost 10 minutes here. And it's only been another 1,000 in favor of Final Boss. It's still not great, still a 6,000 gold lead, but like, it's plateaued significantly. They are no longer just going into massive debt here. Powder's Dead is caught out of position. This is exactly what I said they needed to do. A little bit of skirmishing, finding the 3, make a 4v1, get that kill, inject a little bit of hope into this side as Final Boss just trying to go for clears, just trying to get themselves into a good spot to close out this game. But Flannel are going hunting.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Baron has not spawned yet. Hold on, if Jake dies here, this could be a Flannel Baron. This is like a humongous mistake from them. What are they doing on the map right now? They have their support dead. This is not good. Jake dying here is awful. But somehow the Talia flick is on point and able to buy enough time that they're actually able to get out and win this. Oh my god, I just thought I'd get a triple there. This game is even a little bit closer. That was such a good play, but the items and the fingers just aren't there for Flannel as they just mash their keyboards indiscriminately and miss everything. And Jake is able to walk out, and that is definitely going to be the game as York is about to triple and hit them.
Yeah. Yeah, King of Spades is just having a nice leisurely stroll through the face of Flannel. Waltz in the area as well, so they're gonna get in on the action. I don't know if that's outright game, as they don't have the waves, but the triple inhibit there is a little bit of a massive deficit to overcome. Baron's going to be up in 5 seconds, and very similar to last game where, I mean, final boss are just so far ahead. They're going to go. They're going to try to take this Baron. Even if Flannel try to have a say, final boss are going to be able to just turn, take the fight, and almost certainly just demolish them. So there's no reason not to go for it. Flannel are going to desperately try to steal, but the barrage goes wide. Doesn't hit.
I wonder. I wonder if there was a Rise All play somewhere, like if they could have maybe used it to get there quicker or something. I don't know. They just killed the Baron way too fast with Zyra and Amumu.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so easy with that damage amp. Plus, the Talia is good. I will say, I was making fun of Rep for missing the flick earlier on the stun target, but that was a really nice defensive flick to save Jake in the fight prior. So. Credit where it's due. Speaking of credit where it's due, this is going to be the move on to 2. Tristana going to reset already. Lanza in the backline, but it's not going to amount to anything except a little bit of bot time. He's able to cut this wave, but for what purpose? Because there's minions in the bot lane too. The Nexus is about to go down, and we are headed into game 3. The score is 1-1.
And it's a situation where here in Draft League and LFA, you never know what's going to happen. Obviously, Flannel were coming in looking really good, and Grotus had a deathless game in game number 1. And how the tides have turned. We did not think that this composition was going to be very good for Final Boss, but the plays go their way, and Grotus dies 9 times in the process. And it is just a pretty dominant game. I mean, and also it feels very similar to last, where I don't think Flannel played particularly bad. They were just so far behind that, I mean, you had said it, I think, perfectly, where it was like any decision that they make, any move that they try to make is just not in their favor. It's not good. It makes them want to not do anything, but you can't do that or else you just lose. So they try to make a couple of plays that don't really work out. They get punished for them, but I mean, what can you do? You had to do something, and there was no good options. So that is a massive win for Final Boss. And we're going to game 3. It means it's guaranteed game 4 now. Now that it's split 1-1. It looks more and more like we could be going the distance if these two teams continue to just duke it out and take map win after map win.
Yeah, if game 1 was a death less game for Anchorus, this was a death more game. That was crazy. He had like 3 deaths by 5 minutes. He was speed running that stat. That was nuts. Maybe feeling himself a little too much from game 1. But some nice plays from Final Boss though. I think the idea was there, but maybe the lane state wasn't. So not the best moves early. They really put themselves in a gigantic hole. They actually did have a chance to potentially flip that game. But just a little bit of execution away, I think, from killing Jake there, potentially getting that Baron. So they did have a small window, which is something, because in that game 1, I don't really think Final Boss ever got a window to even attempt to win that game. This game, Flannel had a little bit of something, so can never quite count them out. They are pretty tenacious, I would say. We've seen a lot of 2-1 series from them in the regular season, I think. And obviously, last time they played, it was a pretty swift 2-0 for the side of Final Boss. In this game, or in this series, already taken 1. So I think Flannel's doing a pretty good job. Game 3, though, is where it really starts to be a different series, because you start to see these fearless bans coming out, and you start to see champions pinched, and you start to see some sloppier games.
Yeah, absolutely. Testing the depth of the pools for all of these players. But of course, we are going to send it over to a quick break. We're going to let the players decompress, get a drink of water, use the bathroom, all that jazz. And we'll be back with game number 3 in just a couple of minutes. Game number 3. Obviously, last game went the way of Final Boss and a pretty solid victory. Flannel taking a really strong game 1, falling off a little bit in game 2. This one is going to be where the real meat and potato games start up. They are already in the draft. First pick for both teams already selected. Syndra B1. We have LeBlanc as R1 and then an Aatrox for that top lane. It is Flannel on the red side as well. So it was a swap. You talked about it last game, how you don't know why every team that loses
I'm
picks red.
pissed.
Well, it comes up again.
I hate it. I don't like it at all. Um, and by the way, they're using it to blind pick Aatrox anyway. And blind LeBlanc. What are they saving R5 for? Support? Like I like support counter, it's good. But definitely a bit of an odd choice. Reminder that the graphic will be a little bit weird because we're having to use a different system because the
Draft law's broken.
regular draft wall is broken. So apologies for that. But so far for the side of final boss, we have B1 Syndra, B2 Cho'Gath, B3 Vi has just been selected, and Flannel is on R1 LeBlanc, R2 Aatrox, and it's looking like potentially R3 Gwen. That would, of course, be a Gwen jungle, as we have seen Angrotus favor that champion all split, and he is going to lock it in for this one. It does seem like the farming junglers have had the advantage so far this series, and we've got Gwen versus Vi, so we'll see if the Gwen wins this one too.
Yeah.
Maybe making red side look a little better than it actually is, but hey, it's working out.
Yeah, we see both teams here elect not to pick up ADCs. We do see that Braum get banned away, so an engagey support, not that surprising, is probably going to be the goal for Final Boss yet again. Meanwhile, Flannel focusing on the ADC role a little bit, banning out that Smolder. They hovered Jinx, but did not banner. Thresh ends up being the next ban, followed by the Taric as the final ban for this game and for Final Boss. Immediately, R4 becomes Nautilus. Seems like that was always the plan. Meanwhile, it looks like Kaisa is going to be hovered as Final Boss still need to pick up their bot lane duo. And Kaisa, I don't know how good that will go into this, but I know Kaisa is relatively strong in the current meta. Definitely not one of the strongest, but definitely not weak.
It's it's got to be Leona. It's good against Nautilus, and please don't pick Galio. It's good against Nautilus, and it rounds out their comp. But it's gonna be Galio, presumably support, I guess. Uh, and immediately traded with the Zaya bot lane for Flannel. So we see our team comps on the screen in their assumed positions, and I was really thinking that Final Boss had a great draft, but the Galio is so weird to me. I guess it works well with the Vi. Um, yeah, but it's a very low threat bot lane from the side of Final Boss. Galio Kaisa not really going to be able to compete with Zaya Nautilus too much, in my opinion. I really think mid lane is the volatile one this game. I'm expecting to see Vi mid lane a lot. LeBlanc can be hard to gank, but not for Vi. She's one of the only champions that can actually kind of follow the double dash with her ultimate, so we'll see what the junglers decide to prioritize this game. Top lane, I'm obviously going to favor the Aatrox in this matchup, I think, at least in the 1v1, but Cho'Gath going to bring a lot in the team fights.
Yeah, I honestly, I was think I was in a very similar boat where I was liking the Final Boss draft. I think after the first wave of picks, I actually think I favored Final Boss, and I was gonna even make the comment of like, oh, the team that we kind of thought less of compositionally going into the game have won the last two. Final Boss, I think I prefer theirs, which makes me think maybe Flannel will have a pretty good game. But after all is said and done, the Kaisa Galio, I don't know if I'm a real big fan of it. I agree. I think Leona would have done a little bit better. I also think that this Zaya combo is just going to be super, super strong. Obviously, really good in the front to back. The entire composition thrives off that, obviously, especially with the go in of the Aatrox and the Gwen, a little bit of that backline support, but also a little bit of go in potential from LeBlanc, obviously, being able to dive in, do damage, and get out of jail pretty much. Um, yeah, I think I really like this composition for Flannel. I really feel like the comp kind of fell apart for Final Boss at the very end there. It definitely, I don't know. It just I don't think it's horrible. Let's say, don't get me wrong, it is not the worst draft we've seen. I think this is a very fine draft. I think when you're just looking across the table at this Flannel team, I think that's a little bit subpar.
I just think I haven't been liking Final Boss's comps in general because they just feel kind of low damage to me. Like there's super low threats. You're playing against a LeBlanc, right? So if either your Syndra or your Kaisa gets one shot before the fight, how do you play? You know what I mean? Like I think their comp makes a lot of sense on paper, right? Like if you put this into an AI and said like
Yeah.
does this comp make sense? Like is there synergy between these champs? I think it'd say absolutely. I think Vi Galio is great synergy. They have disengage from the Cho'Gath to defend those carries. I think on paper this draft is good. I'm just not convinced they're going to be able to play it against Flannel's draft. This one, Flannel's draft is a little more disconnected, but I think they have more comfort champs. I'm assuming that LeBlanc has got to be a comfort champ. I never see anybody lock this champ in unless they're like really begging their team to pick LeBlanc all the time, and Fearless allows them to pick it in these later games. So I'm expecting him to know how to play this, and assuming that he does, this champ can be dangerous. It's just kind of hard for a lot of people to pilot. But if he can play it, it's certainly a big threat.
Yeah, I also kind of have that same. I know Cho'Gath can do a lot of damage, but is not outright a hyper carry. I do think Final Boss, if this game goes late, is the favorite. If we start getting past the 30-minute, approaching that 40-minute, that hyperscaler of Syndra and the ability to scale and Cho'Gath becomes a real big problem for Flannel. But I think Flannel are going to have a much more solid mid and early, and even into the early late game. Um, I do agree, though. I think there's a lot of missing damage for the Final Boss roster. The big threat to me is that Syndra, but obviously Syndra's R's where a lot of that is funneled into. It's a really good execute where it can just kind of explode a squishy. But who are you gonna target? You have Zaya, who has a get LJ free button with her ultimate. LeBlanc obviously is able to teleport around. She's very tricky to pin down. Aatrox and Nautilus are gonna be able to tank that damage. And Gwen has a button where she is just immune to projectiles if you're not within range. So I don't know where the damage is going to come from if Syndra can't find something. And I don't know if it's going to be as easy as they think to find something with that Syndra. So I'm a little bit worried for Final Boss here. Yeah, I think yet again, Flannel have come out on the upper side of this cup of their drafting. I think this is another really solid win for them. Again, not bad for Final Boss, like you were said. If you throw this into an AI and was like, "Hey, is this good?" I don't think it would say no, but I just don't think it's going to be great. But with all that being said, yet again, we said that last time, and we all saw how that happened. So we have to wait and see how everything weighs out on the Rift, which we will be getting to in just a couple of minutes when we let Spectator do its thing. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with game number 3 in just a couple of minutes. And we're into game number 3. Another situation where we're not exactly thrilled with the final boss team composition, but we said that last time around, and we all know what happened there. That game being won by them, setting us into this game number 3. Flannel riding high momentum going into game 2, definitely having to start out on the back foot, have to get back into the groove of it here in game number 3. And it does look like, obviously, with that Nautilus pick, they're going to look for something. Haven't been spotted yet, but there's always the option of running headlong into this Gallia.
Yeah, it's sort of a lazy engage. Only 3 people there. That's definitely a bit funny. Mr. Dunk Dunk is going to go in and get a couple auto attacks on the Welt. Cancel the recall onto Powder's Dead, which is nice, but as long as you get that recall off before a minute, it's not really going to cost you anything. So maybe a very slightly delayed move into lane from the bot side of Final Boss, but I don't think they're going to be too beat up about that one. I think they're going to be able to pull off with just a tiny bit of lane priority going over to the side of Flannel as a result of this level 1 skirmish.
Alrighty, as Mr. Donkadonk is going in on Rab, is going to get a very favorable trade, going to pull up a pot as well as the Syndra getting punished a little bit in lane. I'm assuming this is actually going to be a pretty aggressive laning phase from pretty much every lane of Flannel. Obviously, like you said, Aatrox is definitely going to be favored into this Cho'Gath, at least for the early stages. I think Mel is going to have a pretty solid lead early on, and I think the pressure that this Xayah and Nautilus are going to be able to exert is going to give them a bit of an edge. I'm intrigued to see if they can get that level 2 and not can find a good hook. I can see this going pretty terribly for Final Boss. And honestly, both games have been, I don't want to say decided, but have been heavily influenced by these level 1 fights and the early game skirmishes down on the bot side. So I'm intrigued to see how it all shakes out here in game 3.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure how the 2v2 goes here. I think Galio might actually be pretty good before first back because he is, you know, a mid laner. So he actually does a little bit of damage as opposed to the Nautilus. But Mr. Badonk is really getting the better of this mid lane matchup. Feeling very confident. Somebody in chat can probably tell me, does LeBlanc just have the best auto attacks ever? But Galio is going to go onto the Nautilus. It's not going to connect onto the Xayah, unfortunately. So a little bit of damage traded back. That's going to be very favorable for the Galio in that initial exchange.
Oh, looks like we might be having a technical issue here.
Yeah, we're playing blind right now, everyone. I don't know what it's gonna look like for you, but we can hear you giggle, but we cannot see anything.
Oh no, not again.
Oh no.
We are still live. I just heard myself say, "Oh no, not again" on the stream.
Okay.
All right,
we're figuring it out, folks.
Issues. Yeah, Giggle's computer crashed, so stream is probably gonna dip off here again, and we're gonna have to come back into this game when he is able to load back in. But his computer is completely frozen.